see you wine and dip. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. This bad girl wine and dip. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. Don't stop, girl, wine and dip. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. Go down. 2 shots, just take a little sip. Go down, girl. Go down, girl. You like that, That's why I love to see the way it's caress your body.
All right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the It's Your Perspective Talk Show. It is Tuesday, October 29th. Good evening and welcome to everybody. This is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. We're on Facebook Live, and we're also coming to you via our internet radio station, streaming live from the vi.com radio. 2 ways to listen. You can go to our website, streaming live from the vi.com, and click on live radio to hear the musical stream. Right now you'll be hearing this show as well. You can also go to TuneIn, download the TuneIn radio app, and then search for streaming live from the vi.com radio. You'll be able to hear this show, and after the show is done, we'll switch back to the automation. You'll hear nothing but the best Virgin Island music all night long. We're also on YouTube as well. Search for us on the It's Your Perspective Talk Show. You'll see all our shows there. We're back to season 6 now, and we're just having fun. So, Soup, you ready?
Yes, I.
Bless that mic, man.
Greetings to one and all. I reading from His Majesty's speeches, free and united. Today, we look to the future calmly, confidently, and courageously. We look to the vision of an Africa not merely free, but united. In facing this new challenge, we can take comfort and encouragement from the lessons of the past. We know that there are differences among us. Africans enjoy different cultures, distinctive values, special attributes, but we also know that unity can be and been attained among men of the most desperate origins. The differences of race, of religion, of culture, of tradition are no longer insurmountable obstacles to the coming together of peoples. History teaches us that unity is strength and cautions us to submerge and overcome our differences in the quest for common goals, to strive with all our combined strength for the path of a true African brotherhood and unity. There are those who claim that Africa unity is impossible, that the forces that pull us, some in this direction, others in that, are too strong to be overcome. Around us there is no lack of doubt and pessimism, no absence of critics and criticism. These speak of Africa, of Africans' future and her position in the 20th century in circumstantial tones. They predict decisions and disintegration among Africans and intercede strife and chaos on our continent. Let us confound these by our deeds, disperse them in confusion. There are others whose hope for Africa are bright, who stand with faces upturned in wonder, in awe, and in the creation of a new and happier life, who have dedicated themselves to this realization and are spurred on by the example of their brothers to whom they owe the achievements of Africa's past. Let us reward their trust and merit their approval. Rastafari.
Yes, sir, Soup. Thanks for that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for blessing us, Soup's, and blessing us from season 1. Moving right along here. So as we roll on tonight, we do have some special guests in the studio tonight. Let me click right there. You guys wave to the crowd. You guys are streaming out here, there, and everywhere. We have Virginia Clairmont and Trey Packard in the studio. You guys say, what's up to the crowd?
Aloha.
Hello.
Hello. So Trey is first time here.
Yeah, first time.
And Virginia has been here a couple times in the past prior to the hurricane. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Glad to be here.
All right, man. So thanks for coming through. And Virginia represents, she's got a few things going on here, but we're going to talk a little bit real quick about Clean Sweep Frederiksted first.
Right. So
what's been happening with that?
A lot. We just celebrated our 5th year anniversary when we launched our very first cleanup in Frederiksted. And so here we are 5 years later, getting ready to do a couple of really major projects. But the one that we're ready to talk about tonight is Seawall St. Croix, which Trey is here with me to discuss. So we're expanding and building and leveling up on the community paints that we do. We've in the past done mural projects, but this time we're bringing in an international partner, Pangeaseed Foundation, and Trey is the founder and executive director, and he can actually speak a little bit more and more eloquently to what we have coming to St. Croix.
Okay, but before we do that,
Okay.
let's talk a little bit more about Clean Sweep Frederiksted. I know that you continue to do events and cleanups, and talk a little bit about that. Because I know you have something on Thursday too, right?
Yeah.
So
So
talk a
on
little bit about that
Thursday-
kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm excited about the seawalls. But yes,
That's coming.
This Thursday we have our Not So Scary Kids Spooktacular at the Door Center in the Frederiksted Library. So we are hosting, it's a Halloween event, a family focused Halloween event. It's going to be October 31st, like I said, this Thursday, Halloween Day, from 5 to 8 p.m. And we are showing, we're having a viewing of the movie Coco. Which is a family-friendly Disney movie about the Mexican Day of the Dead celebration. And then that's at the Door Center, and then at the on the library side we are having a magic show, a pumpkin patch, celebrate. We're doing a pumpkin patch magic show and balloon sculpting, face painting for the kids. So it's a Halloween celebration, but it's on the kids friendly side. And we're also having a trunk or treat contest. So we're inviting individuals, households to come to West and decorate the trunk of your car. We're having, so the contest really is just a trunk or treat. You decorate the trunk of your car in Halloween kind of festive decorations. The first prize winner gets a $100 gift certificate. Second place gets a $75 gas certificate from Right Way, and the third prize is a $50 gas certificate from Right Way gas station.
Yes.
And the first prize, would be remiss if I don't mention this. So the first prize gift certificate is sponsored by Freedom City Apartments and Vacation Homes. So they've donated that, but it's just keeping in line with what we've always done. We've always been doing family-centered events, and so this just happens to be something that we're just doing once again. It's all about the kids. It's all about the family.
Okay. Now, what about the Clean Sweep Frederiksted actual cleanup operations? Have you done anything since the hurricane?
So immediately after the hurricane, we had another townwide cleanup, right, where we sort of just invited individuals in to sort of remove a lot of the debris that was hanging around that the government wasn't able to get to, and so we pulled out a lot of that debris and placed them on the side of the road, and then whatever agency was in charge, I can't remember at this point, just came and collected those. We've done a few beach cleanups and town cleanups since then, but we're actually now, I feel like 5 years in, the community, I think that all of the VA is getting the message now, right, that we're responsible for our community. Yes, the government has its role, but we're the stewards of our community, and so we're sort of moving away from that a little bit. Now I'm sort of trying to deal with more, so I don't want to keep saying, we need to keep our town clean. We should know this by now. It's been 5 years, and people have been saying this before Clean Sweep arrived. And so now we want to try to do more strategic things to ensure that these practices continue on. And that would be, more enforcement, more giving people the resources and the tools that they need to ensure that our community is a better community. That these mural projects is no longer just Clean Sweep that should be doing it, but schools and businesses and
everybody involved.
We should all be involved, because it's the same message that we've been saying. So I don't necessarily like to talk about what it is I'm doing. I like to talk about what it is that the community is doing. Because every single project that we have been doing has been volunteer driven, right? And so I would love to see more of a conversation about volunteerism, less about the town dirty and we need to clean this up. The buildings are dilapidated and we need to fix this. More about how can we use our collective community volunteer power to address these social issues that we're having, because it's not the government's problem. problem.
Yes,
right.
we
So
live
need to, yeah, we live there. I live in this community wherever we are on the island. So it's not just, we focus on Frederiksted. I'm passionate about Frederiksted. It was where I was born and raised. It's my heart. So that's what we focus on. But the thing is that everything that we do in Frederiksted bleeds into the other communities, right? So if we have a trash problem in Frederiksted, it's a St. Croix trash problem. If we have, if Frederiksted has a poverty issue, it's a poverty issue on St. Croix. If we have a homeless issue on St. Croix, in Frederiksted, then
it's across the board.
Exactly, because we like to talk, and I will this real talk, right? Them people over there, right? Your problem and us, and that's a frustrating thing. I'm like, I really, we need to move away from the yo and start saying we, right? Because it's all of us, it's all of our problems, right? Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of like where I'd like to see the conversation going. Initially it was just like, okay, let me show you what a community could do collectively to promote change. That has happened. People have seen it happen, right? Frederiksted looks a lot more better. Actually, St. Croix looks a lot more better when it comes to trash, because if you recall, once upon a time you could just every 2 feet you go, there's some trash. We don't really see that as much. We still have some problems that we need to address on that. But I think we've sort of like we've leveled up a bit, right? Like, no, this is not right. You shouldn't be tossing your stuff out the car for somebody else to clean up. You ain't creating a job for somebody else. And Trey said something very interesting earlier, and he's right. There is nothing, when you say I'm throwing it away, you ain't doing that. You ain't throwing it away because it'll circle back to you, right? Whatever you put out is when you toss something out on the street out to your car, that eventually comes back to you, right? Because we have a landfill, that's overflowing with trash ain't leaving St. Croix. It's staying right here, and it's affecting our lives. And so so that's a level of conversation I'm in the next phase of what we do as we we've had our infancy, we're toddlers, and now we're moving into like our elementary stage. And so I kind of like feel like, okay, we need to have a next level conversations about what we do in the community, to promote a more vibrant and world-class community. And collectively I think that's happening.
Okay. Our guest tonight is Virginia Clairmont. She is the founder and executive director of Clean Sweep Frederiksted. It's a nonprofit organization. So great. You're still working hard, and you got a fun event coming up here 2 days from today, Halloween. But really you're here to talk about this new event coming up here in December. It's called Seawalls, Artists for Oceans. So give us the scoop on this.
So how that came about really was through that I had a volunteer, someone who was visiting St. Croix and volunteered with us, and connected me and said, hey, we became friends. So she volunteered with us. We became friends, and she said, I think there's this, you do murals, but you should check out this organization. And so I did. I called them up and I said, hey, what do you do? How can you work with us? This is what we do. And so it was a natural fit, right? And it said, when Clean Sweep Frederiksted does murals, it's all about building community and connecting neighbor to neighbor, person to person, right? So volunteers, we call it a community paint. We're going to be doing this mural and just invite people to show up. We present them with an idea and then say, make it happen, right? And you don't have to have any artistic skills. We're just like, make it happen. This is a little different. This time it's high caliber artists coming from across the world, working with local artists to create major works of art, major works of public art in very public spaces that we all can enjoy. But the commonality is it is still all about the community, right? And creating a better community, a more vibrant community. And it's art with a purpose, because what Pangeaseed does, and I'll invite Trey to come in on this because he can speak more eloquently to us, is that they promote ocean conservancy, right? And address issues that are facing the world's oceans. We're not really having that conversation in the Caribbean as yet, right? We know that global warming exists. We know that the world's oceans are heating up. We know that we have a plastic pollution problem, but our waters are still very pristine for the most part. So we ain't necessarily feeling just yet the pinch. But there is in the Caribbean waters, there is a garbage pile that is has already formed and is growing, and so we're going to start to see that affecting our waters.
Yeah, it's kind
now.
of floating towards us.
Exactly, and so now we need to start to address about this. Is that, you know, when I reached out to Trey and said, whom else have you been working in the Caribbean doing this project, because they do global work. He's like, oh yeah, we've worked in 2 other islands, but we've never done a large scale project. So St. Croix will be the first time in the Caribbean that they're going to be doing multi, at least we're planning at least 10 to 15 murals across St. Croix.
Wow.
That addresses environmental and sustainability issues. So it's
Okay.
pretty exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to let you.
So Trey, jump in there. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah. So we're really excited to be here. This is my first time to the Virgin Islands, and Virginia and I have been working on this project for close to a year now. I think
Okay.
once the project actually happens in December, we'll be at the 1-year mark when we first started communicating on how we could make this possible here. So through the nonprofit that I founded in 2010, Pangeaseed Foundation, we utilize art and activism as tools, communication tools, to get people engaged around the discourse of ocean conservation. A lot of times these issues are, left out of the public opportunity to weigh in on it and to be engaged, and it tends to take place behind closed doors and within privileged circles. But the reality is that the oceans are the life support system of the planet. No matter where you are, if you're in the high mountains, if you're in the desert, if you're on the coast, you depend on healthy oceans for survival.
That's right.
70% of the planet's covered in oceans. Every second breath we take comes from the oceans. They're a major source of economic revenue, from fishing to water sports and so on. So it basically boils down to, without healthy oceans, life on land is going to be impossible.
Yes.
So we have to be doing whatever we can to get people engaged. And when I was looking at nonprofits in general, when I first started our organization, it felt like it was kind of conservative or militant, and it just didn't resonate with what I wanted to do. So I felt like, this is a big arena. I mean, we can do anything we want to with it. So there's not necessarily a blueprint or a roadmap. So we started, doing art exhibitions. And I was doing that when I was living in Asia, because as a foreigner, trying to encourage people to try, change cultural habits and things like that is incredibly challenging. But
Yes.
art is an amazing platform to engage people on.
To get people together, yeah.
Exactly. So that was kind of the light bulb moment, and I didn't have a background in nonprofit, management or anything like that. So it was a massive challenge, and it still is. It's a series of trials and errors, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And in 2014, we decided to create a project that the concept was to take the oceans into the streets, because with gallery shows that we were doing, we noticed that not everybody's going to walk in off the street and experience a gallery, and with these issues being so pressing, it was critical to get people engaged as soon as possible. And I grew up in Southern California, and for me as a kid, and communicating with my friends in my community, it was a lot about, we were surfing and we were skating, we were playing in bands, visuals were, kind of that linchpin that held us all together. And I grew up in a family full of artists. My mother was a professional artist. My grandfather was a professional musician, and we were always encouraged to use art as tools to problem solve. And, to be creative, it's so important to stimulate creativity. And so we put this project together to bring the oceans into the streets via large-scale public art, and we held our first event in 2014, and I'm happy to say that since then we've created about 307 environmental murals in 15 countries around the world, with over 300 supporting artists and over 500 volunteers.
It sounds like a lot.
It's
It's
a heck of a track
huge,
record.
yeah. In the same amount of time, in 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
If you think
so
about that,
we've been going nonstop. Yeah.
Okay.
And as Virginia mentioned, this is our first time to be able to create a large-scale event in the Caribbean. So we're incredibly excited to be able to bring this project to St. Croix and engage the community through purpose-driven public art. That's hopefully really going to get people inspired.
Okay.
And engaged in ways that maybe they haven't thought about before.
Okay. So what are some countries you've done this at?
Oh man, we've taken it to the subarctic in the polar bear capital of the world, in northern Manitoba in Canada, where we had maybe it never got dark. So like we had kind of like an eternal like sunset, you know.
Yes.
And we were painting in really intense conditions, but this was a community that was on the verge of climate change, and they were forgotten by the government. And so we went up there. It was a year and a half in the planning, and we went up there and we painted 22 murals that addressed, you know, cultural connections to that area, why it's important to, you know, protect this area and sustain this area. And I mean, from there, we've taken it to like the Coral Triangle in Indonesia, you know, remote fishing villages. We've taken it to New Zealand, Australia on the Great Barrier Reef. Let's see, Mexico, Vietnam, Japan. Yeah, we've been hustling.
So how are the local folks of these countries? Are they open to what you're doing? Or any pushback, any resistance?
I'd say we've got a great track record. I mean, with these projects, you know, we always do our pre-planning. So like, you know, Virginia and I have been working together for a year on this project to make sure that it's relevant locally. And that's what we always try to do. And we try to create, you know, a balanced lineup between visiting regional and local artists. And that like within that, you know, there's so much opportunity for artists to share skill sets and, you know, just like I was saying earlier, you know, talk story and, you know, learn about each other's cultures. And it creates so much, you know, synergy. Throughout the week of the program, what we always try to do as well is create a series of events to engage the community even further. So, you know, the murals are the focal point, but then we organize, you know, like beach cleanups and, you know, film screenings and panel discussions, youth workshops, you know, getting that next generation engaged because they're the ones that are inheriting all these problems that we've created.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Trey, is there idea? Do you guys sit down and plan where you're going to draw? I mean, where you're going to paint on these murals, or it just come from off the top?
It's kind of a mix because the artists are here, you know, donating their time and talent. So,
Right.
you know, normally, like if you look at the economic value of, you know, one of these murals, depending on the size of the wall and depending on, you know, the caliber of the artist, it can be anywhere from like, you know, $5,000 to $100,000. It totally depends on the artist.
Right.
But they're donating their time. So we try to give them the freedom to really express how they feel about that issue.
Okay.
But in the lead up, we give them as much information as we can and help to educate them so they're going to be able to create a mural that's impactful for their community.
Right.
Okay.
So, you know, as Trey mentioned, we've been planning this for 10 months and really talking about it for 10 months. But from the very beginning, I'm like, cultural sensitivity is very important to me, very important to us as Crucians, you know, and that a culture be represented. So we've been having really long conversations about that and what that means and trying to convey that. Why this is one of the reasons why Trey's here in advance of that, because I can only speak to it so much, right?
Until you gotta come and see
but
it,
you got to
right,
come and
yes,
see it and to
yes.
see why this is important and to hear the people's voices. So we've sort of been in he's been here since Sunday. We've been having like long days because we've been all over, and I'm hearing important cultural bearer voices and visually experiencing St. Croix and why this is important. So we get that, this is about global, you know, the environment and the oceans and the importance of the oceans, but there needs to be some cultural reflection for us, you know, in these artworks. And so he's been capturing images and stories and, you know, like I said, we've been to Chant, planning to visit WIM Landmark Society tomorrow, and sort of talking to as many people as we possibly can about, you know, what the Virgin Islands is like, and, you know, just sort of like taking it all in so it can be represented, you know, in the artwork.
Yeah. So Trey, when you I guess when you're capturing some of this sort of cultural, so I would imagine that some of the other places you've been to, wouldn't that be sort of a consideration too, if you're in Asia or Mexico, incorporating their culture into these murals, I guess, in a sense? Okay.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. So, like, I mean, I always compare what we do to the circus coming to town. So it's you know, all this color and vibrancy and, you know, these you know, interesting individuals and, you know, we're here and then we leave. But we leave, you know, an imprint on the community. So, like, these build up these conversations, you know, these collaborations locally, because it's important for the local community to take ownership once we're gone for the information that we're trying to share. So.
Okay. So this event is going to be from December 9th through the 19th. And I guess part of your travels throughout the islands, I guess you're scoping out places that murals could be painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been from, east to west,
Okay.
north and south, kind of looking for walls, looking for places that are very visible, looking for places that the community can feel the impact
Okay.
of these murals. And I won't disclose where some of them are, but I am comfortable saying that they're that where you will see them placed, there will be high visibility, because we're not just looking for, like I said, tourist impact.
Yeah.
And Trey has been very good about spotting places that I haven't even been considering. I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I
It's
didn't
a
know that
curse.
we could like I didn't even think about that. But it's places that we traverse, right?
Yes.
Right.
As locals, that it's there, and that will add some vibrancy. So yeah, you're gonna be very surprised at
Okay.
what's coming, and then at the caliber of art, because this is high level
Okay.
artwork. And I don't want to say pretty much where they are, because we're still
Right, yeah,
finalizing,
yeah,
But
yeah.
I will say that there is one particular school that we have focused in on, and they are on board 100%.
Okay.
And it's going to have a major impact for the community and for the school as well. So kind of looking forward to rolling like having them be a part of this entire process. So
Lumuckle Elementary School, right?
I'm from Frederiksted.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say, right?
Are you guys using local artists with these?
Yeah, so we're going to
with
put out
them?
a call and we're trying to, I've expressed to Trey that I want this to be an equitable process, like everybody have a fair chance to submit their artwork.
Right.
And they also have, criteria, because the artwork has to be turned around in 10 days. You have really more like 9. You have 9
Right.
days
Limited time.
to turn this around. So they have their criteria, but yeah, I've stressed very highly, it needs to be equitable. So starting next week, we'll be doing a call for muralists. So we're going to put an advertisement in the paper and sort of spread it around social media, so folks can submit their work. But the other way that local artists can also be involved is that we're having we're doing a call out for artists for an art exhibit at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. And that exhibit launches on December the 8th, and it runs for 2 weeks. So
Okay.
and it's all based around the same issues that and those are
Yeah, it's a mix between like climate change and plastics and pollution, coastal development, overfishing, biodiversity loss. So,
Okay.
yeah, but it's really interesting to take these intense topics and to see how artists translate those.
How they kind of fit together? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're providing multiple venues for the artists to be for the community and art community to be a part of this,
Okay.
this process as well.
Okay.
Are these murals size specified, or are you just gonna go with whatever size wall you got?
They're giant size, they're so we're
Ones.
looking for big spaces,
Okay,
right? And we've
okay.
identified a B. So it's not. So I want you've seen the stuff that we've done. It's all
Right,
about
it's
community.
community.
It's bigger
Okay.
than
Okay.
that.
Yes,
It's not.
We
these
have
little
bigger
small-
walls than that here.
Yeah, it's like so like bigger wall we do, right? And
Okay.
so I'm like, oh, Trey has a great eye, like for instance, this school that we're doing the mural at is 2 stories, so it's a 2-story mural.
Okay.
And then we've seen, I would say, 40 feet or more, so large. We're talking large
Okay,
scale
great,
mural size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat of an endurance challenge, like Virginia was saying. There is a criteria because we're so limited on time, and to produce a large scale quality artwork in a short amount of time can be really challenging. So we've collaborated with over 300 artists from around the world on these projects, and I compare these artists to they're like professional athletes the way that they approach it.
Right.
They're out there like 7, 8, 9 days in a row in intense conditions,
Yeah.
heat, sweating it out, putting in 14, 15-hour days, getting up every day and just doing it again and
Yeah.
again and again.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a lot of stamina for sure.
Okay.
But the one thing I can guarantee, because this is always important to me, and Clean Sleep Frederick said, right, is that what we do has to be enjoyed by the community, right?
Definitely.
So this is not, for necessarily the haves. This is a gift,
Yes.
Yep.
to the community that the community can enjoy for
Okay.
a long period of time. And it's not just the murals. We're also doing, so we have, the art exhibit. We have a free after-school program for the kids that we're doing at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts.
So all this is going to be happening the same
The
week?
same week.
Okay.
So from the 9th through the 13th, as kids are going to be engaged in, some activities all around, they're going to be painting some murals, painting some trash cans, and then learning about Ocean Conservancy all at the same time. We have a surprise visitor that we will announce a little later on that's coming from the mainland, and that's going to be running this program, and she's a pretty big deal on emerging environmental
science communicator.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He calls her a science communicator. I call her a science celebrity. So because
Okay.
that's what it is. We have we have a film screening of Chasing Coral, which is a documentary about the death of is that what
Coral reefs around the
coral
world.
reefs
Yeah,
around the world.
Okay.
And we have a very, very special guest. Can't announce it yet for that. And then we're doing a symposium
Okay.
December the 15th on fisheries management. That's one session. Another session is on using public art to promote change. Where plastic pollution is another discussion we're having, and then we're doing one on also food sustainability. So we're bringing these conversations to the public, right?
Okay.
So it's not a necessarily academic environment, but I am comfortable to say that we have some really big name folks: Oceana, Pew Charitable Trust, Plastic Pollution Coalition, these national organizations that are coming because they're excited about St. Croix and that this is happening here, and then they're like, yeah, we want to be a part of it. So it ain't just this VI, although we're inviting VI panelists to be a part of this, and haven't confirmed them yet, but it's a national
Right.
and local mashup of individuals like talking about our global issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Trey, let me ask you this: when you guys make these murals, do you ever go back and visit these countries that you put these murals up, or you just
Yeah,
hit it and
definitely.
just
I mean,
go?
it depends on the location. Yeah,
Okay.
but sometimes we've held events, multi-years. And then others, I mean, like, for example, like the one in Northern Canada, it's incredibly challenging to get back up there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we keep in touch with the local artists that we collaborated with, people that were stakeholders in the community that helped make the project possible. And so we're just creating this global, creative community of people that care about the oceans and
Yeah.
using creativity to give it a voice.
So let's talk a little logistics here. So you're talking a 40-foot mural, and so you probably need a few scaffolds
Right.
and ladders and so
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've been doing that as well. We've been driving everywhere and asking, our network of friends and supporters, so yes, we will need access to scaffolding. We will need ladders. We will need, umbrellas to keep the artists
The heat off.
Yeah, the heat off.
Yeah.
So all of these discussions we're having, and we're looking to the community to help support that, because the artists are giving their time. It's a volunteer initiative on their end, but just because it's free doesn't mean it's free.
Yes.
There's
Of
still
course.
costs associated with that.
Right.
So we're doing a lot of fundraising to try to pay for those expenses, and then do what we can get as in kind as well.
Yes.
One of the I was telling Trey, and he's seen this to himself. I'm like, no, this community will show up, and they'll show out, and give us what we need to sort of make this, to create. I think we said this earlier, and I want to just say it again. Is what we're doing is we're creating a public museum, right? So you could drive around St. Croix
Yes, sir.
and enjoy a public
Public
museum
museum.
exhibit,
Okay.
right?
Art
And we
gallery.
could do this all. Thank you, a public art gallery. So
Yes.
we want to, so our goal is this won't be a one-off. It'll be a Seawall's Virgin Islands. So while this is happening on St. Croix, hopefully simultaneously get to the point where we could do it also on St.
St.
Thomas,
Thomas.
and St. John, and then the VI will be the
Yeah.
epicenter of public art.
Yes.
Right, and that's what we become known for, and
Yeah.
when, so we can enjoy it, and then visitors
They'll come
can
in.
enjoy it as well, and not just public art, right, but environmentalism,
Mhm.
like
Murals with a message.
yeah,
Public art
because
with a message.
I don't, Trey discovered this today. It's like I don't even think we understand how much environmental research happens here, particularly on St. Croix. We're at the center of a lot of what I wanted. What's the term?
Probably different types of research.
Yeah.
Well, immensely different types of research, but it's like forward thinking, and there's a term for it. It's not coming to me right now, but
Think tanks.
we're changing. Like, people come here to do the research because you, as environmentalists, for instance, Buck Island, right? John F. Kennedy had the foresight to make that a national park in the 60s, And so Trey said sometimes it serves as an incubator because it's been protected for so long that now researchers are coming here because they can use that as a measure, like, oh, so we know that it's so well preserved, we know that this happens, and then we can use it as a measure to say how
Right.
things have declined, I guess, in other places.
other
I
areas.
am not a scientist, so
Within
I
the
don't have
region.
the right terminology for it. But a lot of people come here to do just that.
Yeah.
They come here to see how to measure how things are progressing here in the Virgin Islands, and then they take that research and use it as a baseline internationally.
Yes.
Right. And we don't even think about that.
it,
Yeah,
right.
but that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like, so we're the epicenter of some major work that is happening here, including coral restoration.
Okay.
And I know they're doing it elsewhere, but it really is, like St. Croix in particular.
And some place I was seeing, I think it was either yesterday or Sunday. Well, it had to be, I think it was either yesterday or Sunday, but I saw they were, and they were talking about how the sea urchins then were destroying the corals too. I didn't realize the sea urchins had that kind of a power within them to go and destroy.
cause destruction,
yeah. And that's something that you see, coming on the beach all the time.
Right. Not as much as we used to, but it's, you're right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, because we take a lot of things for granted,
Granted,
right?
yes.
But then there's other people looking at, and then it's there's a whole lot of science and
Right.
stuff behind that. So
and making us aware too of what's really going on in the world and around us.
and then we're connected
Right.
to it because in
Exactly.
our little bubble we don't necessarily feel like we're connected to a whole lot of things, but we are. Like,
Yeah.
this is a very important space.
And then to the people them that eat fish too, eat foods that come from the sea too. Every time these plastic or foreign elements go into these ocean or these spaces, and these animals keep eating these things and humans keep consuming them, eventually after a while it can really, really cause a serious effect.
No,
Yeah, we're
it's not
poisoning
eventually.
ourselves.
It's here now.
It's
So
happening now.
tell
Okay.
them that interesting.
Yeah, there was a new report that came out, I think in the last week or so, that said that, like, on average, Americans consume about a credit card's worth of plastic per week,
Oh, really?
based on the plastic that's in our environment right now.
Environment.
Okay.
Like, if you use a plastic water bottle, that leaches into the water.
Right.
Yes.
Consuming, marine life that has it in it as well. I mean, there's all these different areas where it's coming from, but that's the average at the moment.
Wow.
Right.
Plastic,
And
Newborn
so-
babies
Credit
are have plastic in them at this point.
Yeah.
because
Right.
they're
the mother consuming.
exactly
Yes.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
because we're not seeing, and Trey said something about in Hawaii, in some places you can actually see the microscopic plastic.
The
And
plastic
so-
pollution in Hawaii is an
Right,
right.
epidemic.
Yeah.
At this
We see,
point.
and then to us, somebody of us, we are talking today too, is so small and minute in the ocean that you don't see it with your eyes, but eventually as these animals keep consuming them,
And it starts to, we
for- as
will,
you say,
right.
The
plus
fish
a
look at
credit
it
card.
as almost an egg.
egg,
Yeah, it looks
exactly.
like it's an egg.
Credit card.
And so,
That's interesting.
so
Yeah.
in the Caribbean, we're not seeing that level of plastic pollution as yet, but it's,
Yeah.
so we get very personal. We take an affront to it, and I try to change and this stuff, but it really is for a significant
Your health.
reason,
Yeah.
right?
And we
Yeah.
can all make small steps in our daily lives to curb
Of
our
course.
plastic consumption.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like carrying a reusable water bottle or a reusable bag when you go to the supermarket. Everybody's got an extra bag at home. Saying no to single-use utensils when you go to the restaurant or something like that, or don't taking styrofoam. Bring your own container. There's ways that you can it might not be as convenient for you, but it's an opportunity to lessen your environmental
Yeah.
impact. And if
And I
we're all
guess-
doing that, that adds up.
And I guess as we become more aware too, it just start to get more natural to us as time goes on. But we just got to keep beating
Definitely.
it, keep sending out the word, and that these things are important to the environment, to us, the animals, the trees, everything, because everything is connected.
It's all
Definitely.
connected,
You
You understand?
right?
Everything is
Yeah.
connected.
Closed loop.
Yeah.
And they ain't gonna,
You know what
I
I
know
mean?
people
So-
like, oh, I need my straw, no, but no, you don't. Some people do, but I need my bag. I need, it's like
Right.
there was a time when that we didn't use those sort of things, and we were all right. We were okay.
I had this little saying that we were trained to raise bag, to walk with bag. For the time our mother brought us up. We
Right.
know ourselves. We have 2 bags in our hand.
Yeah.
Up to adults, we still do the same thing. I
The
said,
same.
wow, look how so ingrained in our society. But
Yeah.
it's just because, again, it's things we do and you don't even yourself think that you do it habitually.
Exactly.
You understand me?
Exactly.
You know, so.
Yeah, but I think it's important for, as an individual, as a consumer, as a human being, to step back and kind of audit yourself every now and then, you know, and you know, look at the impact that you have on your environment and your community, and you know, look at it in a lens of like how can I, you know, be a better steward for the planet. You know, everybody at this point in you know, most developed nations, you know, we're so you know, overwhelmed with technology and, you know, jobs and, you know, bills and whatever else, that those things, we lose sight of those. Yeah. So like, well, it's really interesting what we've been seeing through our efforts around the world is it's the kids that are now educating the parents, because the kids get it. They're not compromised. You know, the kids, you know, that like they understand the importance of like, okay, well, if you take this animal out of the ecosystem, you know, things are going to fall apart. You know, it's important to protect it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. If you throw this plastic bottle into the, you know, the creek or the river or whatever, it's going to be, you know, damaging. So yeah, now we're seeing the kids going back and educating the parents, which is really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. So this definitely sounds like a real interesting event. You guys sound very excited about it. It sounds, and you mentioned too that you have all the artists already picked and ready to go.
Yeah.
Primarily
It's
the international
international.
artists. We're
Okay.
still working on
The local artists?
and
'Cause
the
that-
local artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
The international is such an intensive project because like the artists that we're inviting to come here are, you know, professional artists, so they all have gigs, they all have
Yes.
families, they all have priorities, and this is a donation
A
of their
donation,
time.
right.
Yeah.
So to line all that up, it's like I always compare it like you know, smashing glass and then trying to piece it back together.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, with that.
So are they excited when you
Oh, like-
about coming? Have any of them been here?
No,
No.
None of them have been
have
So
been here.
it's-
So
Okay.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we're
but
all
everybody's
connect-
incredibly excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're bringing a whole bunch of people who've never been here from other countries, so it's an opportunity for us in both ways, right? So yeah, they get to experience
Yeah.
St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, never been here, and then, you know, share their experience with, you know, their community. So
Communities,
it's
yes.
Yeah.
I'm very
Okay.
excited
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Okay, man. So Pangeaseed,
Pangeaseed.
Pangeaseed
Yeah.
Foundation and Clean Sweep Frederiksted presents Sea Walls. This is Artists for Oceans. This is December 9th through the 19th, 2019. And I guess essentially in a nutshell, we're going to have international artists coming here and painting huge murals in strategic places all throughout the island.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of paint they use for this?
Usually acrylic. So
Okay.
like we work with artists of all different backgrounds, but for this project in particular, we didn't want to incorporate spray paint just because, you know, there's not an opportunity to dispose of the, you know, the waste properly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would just probably end up in the
Go back in
landfill
the
here.
sea or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leach and then end up in the ocean. So it doesn't make sense. So yeah, we're working with acrylic artists
Okay.
on this project. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, man. So we're excited. These guys are excited. This is Virginia Clairmont and Trey Packard coming together here to bring this event.
You guys say you were having a reach out to the local artists. Could you just tell us the time?
So we
date,
did a call out already for artists to participate in the art exhibit. So
Right.
that has already gone out.
Okay.
And then now, you know, because we've just been so busy with all of these planning issues, and Trey has multiple other projects that's been happening. So we've been a little delayed,
Mhm.
but we've, you know, I've been doing a soft sell to the community, you know, that eventually we're going to be doing a call out for local artists. So the local artists kind of know this is
Okay.
coming. Right?
Okay.
But then the official call out will be going out shortly.
Okay.
And we're hoping to choose between maybe 3 to 5
Okay.
artists, depending on the number of walls that we have that we've solidified that will be a part of this process.
Okay.
As well. And it's not just, you know, we're opening the doors to St. Tomian and St. Jonian artists as well. So if
Okay.
they want to be a part of it,
Right.
we're like, you know, apply
Okay.
to, you know, put up the mural.
And they'll come over and be a part of it.
Yeah, for the 10 days
Okay.
as well.
And real quick, go over some of the other things that's going to be happening too
in that week.
during that week besides the
Yeah,
painting and
so
So the after
there's
school, I mean,
the
not after
first
school.
thing is we're doing this art exhibit, and the art exhibit publicly runs from December the 9th through, I think
It's 2 weeks total.
It's a 2 weeks,
Yeah.
so it launches December the 9th and it runs for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then from December the 9th through the 13th, we're doing a free after-school program
After school.
for students, right? 3 to 6 p.m. at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. On December the 13th, we're having a screening and panel discussion of Chasing Coral, and then we're having a very, very special guest, and an announcement about that will be forthcoming. And then December the 15th, we're doing a symposium, an environmental symposium called One People, One Ocean. And that's at the Caribbean Museum as well. So all of the major events are at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. And that symposium will run from 2 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And then we'll probably have a community sort of social
Okay.
after that, So we got a
Okay.
couple of things.
Where's the
planned.
Caribbean community?
The Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts is in Frederiksted. On
King Street, right?
It's really Strand
Is
Street,
it-
but they have a
okay.
King,
King
Street.
Street entrance.
It would be
Okay.
across from the Lost Dog, next to the Frederiksted Mall.
Okay.
Or Department of Tourism.
Okay, I know what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great, man. So this sounds like a good event coming up here, man. It sounds like the first of in a lot of areas, especially for St. Croix, and I guess the thought is that it would branch out to St. Thomas and St. John.
We would hope,
Okay.
because share the wealth.
Yes.
Right.
And that, because it's good, it's good for the Virgin Islands.
And you
Period.
have, and you have such a big place like Coral World there, and
Exactly.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
where-
Yeah.
So we have So it's just my in a more of a wider spread vision. That the Virgin Islands as a whole, right?
Mhm.
We should be the epicenter of a lot
Lot
of
of things.
environmental research and public art. What would be the term for it? Like promotion of public art to engage the community and change through public art.
Yeah,
There's no reason why
purpose-driven
we should
public art. Yeah.
purpose-driven public art. There is no reason why we shouldn't be.
Okay.
Is how I feel about it, right? I don't,
the
there's
Caribbean capital for it.
exactly.
Okay.
It's particularly because we are the the Virgin Islands of the United States. Like
Yeah.
some of us say, you don't need a passport to get here. We should be able to have a whole bunch of national artists being able to come here and engaging in this and talking about community change. And the other thing is, for me, it's just like we have a great deal of national parks that are all based around environmentalism, right? Buck Island, East End Marine Park. Half of St.
Great
John
Pond.
is a national, the Great Pond. And half of St. John is a national
National
park,
park,
and all
yeah.
this. So why aren't we at the forefront of of in the Caribbean anyway,
Right.
of speaking on environmental issues? And that's what I'd like to see. I know other people are doing it. We're just using art to promote.
Promote it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it's a great way to connect communities as well. So, I mean, you can connect communities across the Virgin Islands through public art.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And how long you been doing this? You said 5 years too, right? About
The Seawalls program, I started in 2014. So, we just hit our 5-year mark in the summer in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's-
Perfect, man.
As Virginia mentioned, like we've been incredibly busy. We're small, as most nonprofits in Virginia can definitely, echo with this is, like internally we're a very lean ship.
Okay.
And we're trying to do so much with very, very
Right.
little. But we're 8 projects deep at the moment. You pushed out into 2021.
Okay.
So these major Seawalls projects around
Okay.
the world.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
Yeah.
and this project took a year.
Yeah.
Of
yeah.
Planning
a
and
year
preparation.
of
Of
planning,
course.
right, and
Yeah.
looking at funding sources and resources that we'll need, because one of the things I explained to Trey is it's like we're still in recovery mode, and so resources are very, very limited, and how can we coordinate that so it
Right.
wouldn't be like necessarily a burden on the community. We still need your help, but how can we and one of the things that was very important to me is that a good percentage of whatever resources that we raise get put back into
the community.
Into the community.
community,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, and there's so many ways that people can get involved. It doesn't have to just be like a financial donation, but like if you have a restaurant and you want to donate a lunch to the artist for the day, or if there's
Things like that. Yeah.
exactly
Yeah,
exactly
a
Yeah,
ladder,
If you have a ladder, if you
Yeah.
have a cooler that we can borrow for the week, of course you're going to get it back.
Back,
Right,
yeah.
right.
But those are the things that can really help make this project successful. So yeah.
Any support from the government, or are you getting the government involved, or this is just strictly you guys?
We do our best.
We do our best.
And
Okay. Okay.
You know, I don't think it's that they don't want to support. I just think it's that one is they have the capacity to support,
Right.
and two, you know,
gotta-
this is a whole new project and concept that we're introducing. And you know, if you know how we are, you know, we're like, okay, let me watch and see what happens,
Yeah.
right? But I will say that we've approached some government agencies and said we'd like to do something on this wall, and then they've been, you know, they're slowly starting to come around.
Okay.
Now that they're seeing like, oh, this is going to happen, and that they are bringing, you know, people from elsewhere, and we're you know, and partnering with local artists and businesses and all that sort of stuff. So
To put it together,
now that
yeah.
they're becoming a more of a reality, we're starting to see a more positive response. But like everything else we do here, it ain't easy. It's hard. It's you know, you have to keep going back and asking and asking and asking, you know. And you know what, I get frustrated. I'm just gonna be honest, I do get frustrated, right? Because it's a hard effort when you are trying to do good in your community. But I also understand the hesitation, right? Like, you know, because Trey and I have been having this conversation in communities. People sometimes overpromise and underdeliver, and we have experienced that pain here in the Virgin Islands. But I kind of feel like they kind of know now, like, no, this is real, this is coming, and I'm just like, we're gonna push forward anyway, and we're gonna be fundraising until the very end to make sure that these costs are covered. But the money that we are trying to really fundraise outside of, you know, plane tickets and whatnot, it's really being reinvested in the Virgin Islands.
Back into the community, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I
Thank
wish
you.
you guys well, and it sounds exciting, man, to see, I guess, the final product, and just to be able to drive around St. Croix and just see something new there, you know,
Yeah.
fresh and colorful, and so I'm excited about it, man. Our guests tonight are Virginia Clairmont. She's the founder and executive director of Clean Sweep Frederiksted, and Trey Packard. He's also founder and executive director of his organization, which is
Pangeaseed Foundation.
Pangeaseed.
All right. Thank you for saying that. Well, thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you, too.
And I guess as you get closer, by all means, link us up and see how we can get more involved with what
We'd
you
love
guys.
to bring the artists in here. Yeah, do like a group interview.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it will.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think our expectations, I think what's coming will exceed all of our expectations, and really, I think it'll make, you know, kind of bring us together and put us at the forefront of some really exciting things to come globally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. And
Okay.
Virginia, did you want to mention how people can get involved?
Oh, so if you if you want to participate and support this project, we have a Facebook page, Seawall St. Croix.
Okay.
SEAWALLS St. Croix. You can also visit seawalls.org, and our activation project is listed on that page.
Under the activation section.
Yeah,
at the top.
under
Okay.
St. Croix is the
very
first
first
project listed, and then of course to learn more about Pangeaseed, you can go to the Pangeaseed PANGEAS as in Sam EED.org. And to find out more about this project. So
Definitely.
we're the host, you know, it's a Pangeaseed Foundation project, and Clean Sweep Frederiksted is the host
Host.
organization.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Perfect, man. We want to thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you too.
And spend a little bit of time with us tonight to enlighten our viewers and listeners about what's getting ready to happen here in December. Soup, any final words?
Yeah, definitely.
No, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Well, go ahead. Well, I always say, but go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to suggest, if you do want to follow us, we're quite active on Instagram at Pangeaseed or at Seawalls _.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Soup, any final words?
Yes, Trey and Virginia. Always a pleasure. Virginia, Trey, welcome to St. Croix, and I wish you much success on this immense and very important project,
Yeah, for
here
sure.
for the community and for the world.
Yeah,
know?
you know we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
You
man,
know
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
The Most High bless and guide, one perfect love.
Thank you.
And like I said, one perfect love is our prayers and his blessings. When you put it all together, you get one perfect love, man. So on that note, we're out. You guys have a good evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We got another show lined up for more fun stuff to talk about. Peace.
Let's take a trip to Wonderland. Swim in the beach, lay in the sand. Anywhere you want, go tell me, man. This is a Caribbean dream. Welcome to the Virgin Islands. It's like one in a million. It's a Caribbean dream. Welcome to the Virgin Islands. It's like one in a million. It's a Caribbean dream.